All right, Wednesday morning. It is a brisk 39 degrees. That's why I have my coat on in the end of April here in Tennessee. Ridiculous. It's hard not to laugh. Some of the neighbors in this new neighborhood are Instagram influencers and some idiots. Always taking ridiculous pictures. That's fine. Just a couple quick comments about grading. I think this is the most useless discussion in the hobby right now. The only thing more trivial and worthless than discussing grading and grading companies is like me trying to argue Tom Brady's the best. Either you think that and nothing's going to change it, or you don't. There's no evidence either way. It doesn't really matter. So, that's a horrible analogy, by the way. It's early. Here's why I bring this up. So, PSA just bought out Genamint or whatever they are. They have some cutting-edge camera technology. The thing that got me started with this is this whole AI thing. So me and Jesse have spoken with a couple tech guys out west. I'm not smart by any means when it comes to software, artificial intelligence, any of that stuff. And here's the issue I have is you have all these grading companies. I shouldn't say all, but a number of them. Nat Turner alluded to this. Then they have their press releases and it comes out. And so it's an issue with me. And HGA had that thing on their website too about AI-assisted stuff. Here's the reason I have a problem with all of it. First of all, if I don't understand it, I feel like 95% of the people in the hobby don't understand it. I'm not a very tech-savvy person, but I'm fairly intelligent. I have yet to have this explained to me in any kind of a relevant way at all. It just never gets explained well. It's always vague. And, it's too hard to understand. It's too much to explain. It would take too long. Guys like Nat Turner come out and make comments, and then they don't really expound on it. So here's my point. If you're not going to explain it, just shut up about it. I don't need any more claims about AI-assisted, AI software, this kind of software. No one is using artificial intelligence in this industry at all. And then I also now have people say, well, what I mean when I say that term is this. Well, I could say this coat is red, but this coat is blue. AI is what it is. So I get sick of people trying to bend the term. I don't care if you don't explain it at all. I have no problem if you don't want to explain it to me at all. But stop making claims that you use it or any form of it. If you're going to make the claim, then you have to back it up with evidence. Actual evidence, and provide the software, whatever you want to do. This is for every grading company too. Another thing I get pretty sick of in this industry lately, and specifically on this page, I don't know when this page became so infected by like sensitive people. This is my therapy session, no question. And again, I got idiots taking pictures on my clubhouse in front of my house because they're get paid 12 cents by Pepsi to do it or something stupid. Here's the other thing that's starting to irritate me lately. Anytime a grading discussion starts in the room, like I started that discussion today based on the announcement, like Revell announced, PSA bought that company. Every grading discussion that I have doesn't have anything to do with HGA. I'm sorry, I know people think I'm trying to be like vague and like, when I make posts, I'm trying to be subtle. I'm not that subtle. If I wanted to call out HGA about something, I would. If I wanted to call out PSA about something, I would do that. I was pretty public when I called out SGC. I have no problem doing this. But when I just make a general post about grading, I don't need people messaging me and talking to me about how they're, this is clearly pointed at HGA. Nothing I said today was pointed at HGA at all. I think PSA is just as guilty. But there are some stupid arguments out there that make zero logical sense. For example, if somebody posts a picture of an HGA, I'm going to pick on HGA just for a minute because I've actually spoken to Tyler, so I don't mind. That's why I talk about HGA and PSA the most, because I've spoken to both people who represent those companies. Here's my issue with people. PSA people are just as sensitive, by the way. But if I post a picture, I don't do this, but when other people post pictures of an HGA label, like, hey, this came back wrong, I look at this label, how did they screw this up? If your first response is, well, PSA makes mistakes too, totally a worthless argument. Nobody is saying PSA doesn't make mistakes. But if you talk about the scale of cards, the amount, just the sheer volume of cards coming into PSA compared to HGA, and no one will argue this. Tyler himself would not argue this. I think they're doing 6,000 cards a week now, I think. That's fine. That's a solid number. PSA is doing like 20 to 25,000 a day. There is no comparison in the volume. So one mistake somewhere is much more glaring and significant than one at another company. That's just a numbers game. Statistics. Also, something people just fail to comprehend, I guess, some people, when a new company comes into a space, you are more harshly scrutinized. I'm not saying this about the HGA people. I'm saying this about the fanboys. The same with my podcast. When I make a mistake or a slip-up, like, for example, I did this the other day. I talked about the 7, 8, 9, 10 seeding, the play-in games in basketball, and I was wrong. Dude, I got lit up in email, which I should. We are a new brand. We are a new podcast. You make a mistake, you're held to a higher accountability. I am sitting in front of the house, yes. I'm not allowed to park in the... Are you kidding me? I can't park in the garage. That's for my wife and her range. That's just the way it goes. Like, if Simmons says something wrong, he doesn't get called out nearly as much as me because he has a fandom, and he shouldn't. He has an established base. I'm fine with that. But there are just so many ridiculous arguments. The other argument that's absolutely stupid is if somebody posts a picture of HGA and says they love the card. The first 10 comments are like PSA guys telling me how it sucks. Dude, if somebody likes HGA and wants it, fantastic. I don't care where you grade. I try to equally discriminate and make fun of every one of these grading companies because I think they're all fatally flawed. The reason I cover for PSA as much as I do is because I know one resounding truth. When I sub my cards with PSA and when I get them back to sell it, they bring a savage premium. The premium that PSA cards sell for is a coverall for a lot of things I have to deal with PSA. That's why I'm willing to wait 10 months to get stuff back. So I just get a little fed up with this whole, I don't care what you do. Like even today, some guy in the post, oh, he already answered this question. I just spoke over him in the interview. If that's true, I forget the guy's name, then post. This is another thing, though. I think a lot of these guys have come over from Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Let me just tell you, the world of Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you are nameless and faceless. Make a random post or throw out criticism and don't back it up and never show your face again. And this is why I get accused of being like sensitive and argumentative. I am not sensitive. I am absolutely argumentative, though. If you have something to say about it and you want to disagree and call me out publicly, no problem. I'm the one who approves the post when you're calling me out. So I have no issue with it. I always ask for one thing. Just a smidgen of spine. If you're going to make call-out posts or say we did this or this wrong about me, about Jesse, about the podcast, again, the fact that I'm approving the post and giving you the forum is because I don't care. I'm all for open discussion. But when people make these stupid claims, like this guy yesterday, for example, I forget my best friend's name, Keith. Keith and me argued a little bit back and forth, and you know what Keith did? He came in the group, he came in the live video and backed up his point. I have no problem with that. I'm commendable for people. I commend people like that. Good for you. But when you make comments and then you know where to be found after, and then almost every time too, when those people disappear, they'll comment 6 days later because they know the issue was passed, and it's like, oh, sorry, I don't live on Facebook. You know, I don't comment on everything. Sure you do. You comment when it's convenient and when you want to be, a big mouth, which I have no problem with. Everybody looks at Facebook on their phone 8,000 times a day. I am convinced there's nobody who is active in the Facebook group who doesn't do that. So do me a favor. If your excuse is I didn't respond or I didn't post any evidence because I was busy or you weren't too busy to make the post. You're never too busy to respond. That's my whole issue there. We talked about Topps yesterday. I got some more emails about it today. Yeah, on Friday we have no guests. I plan on blasting that Topps release that was totally botched yesterday. Absolutely. It was good promotion for the show having them on. Mitchell, the green, it's too early for monsters, man. I can't do it yet. No updates on me walking through yet. Honestly, Chris, has just been more important things for me to do. And the other thing, Chris asked, for those who didn't see the comment, any updates on me walking through the HGA facility? It's not because of HGA. I think Tyler, if I reached out, would probably be very accommodating. I'll be honest, I don't think it's that big of a thing right now. I don't know how much of an effect it has on anyone. People are either fanboys and they go over the top, or they hate it because they're loyal somewhere else. I just don't know how much I care. How invested am I in this process of trying to change people's minds? Because I don't have an opinion. If you use that company, great. If you use CSG, fine. SGC, fine. I'm critical of those companies because I think they botch a lot of how they present this stuff to the public. Even PSA today, I guess, like, if you're going to buy out a company and start using newer technology or upgrading technology, yeah, it's in Knoxville, why wouldn't you have, like, a press release and come out and talk about it and give people a walkthrough? Or don't say anything. I just don't like when people say, hey, we're doing this, and then they don't. Yeah, but it has to do, for me, Mitchell, honestly, I don't have no problem telling you this. To me, it's about content, and I just don't know how many people actually, it might be something we do separately on the YouTube page. Like when we go up to the Wisconsin Dells show, we're going to set up, and we're going to, hey, let me cut this off, by the way. Yeah, see, Jeff, aren't you the guy who said he answered the question, but I spoke over him? I don't have any problem with you saying that, Jeff. Back it up. When did I speak over him? Because if you go back and listen to the interview, he did not answer that question at all. Not for a second. So, you are one of the guys who does that. You made the comment, then you disappeared. No problem with you making comments. If I didn't like the comment, I would simply delete it. I posted your video. Okay, what was the answer? My question is specifically, how are people using AI? You know what he said in that video quite a few times? We never posted about it. We don't use it. It was never on the website. So we posted screenshots where it was on the website. This isn't a video right here to go after. Yeah, see, and there's the spineless excuse. You interviewed the guy, not me. You brought up an interview from 2 months ago. I know what was said on the interview. So I'm not going to sit here and make your case for you because your case holds no water, man. Totally invalid. He did not answer it. And he wasn't expected to. Honestly, Tyler's basic answer was, I don't fully understand that side of things. I have people who do. Okay. We then posted screenshots from the website where they claim they use AI-assisted technology. I don't have any issue. I didn't go live here to bash HGA or PSA or anything else, but it's comments like that, Jeff, that make me laugh. You spoke over the guy. When? I speak over everybody in an interview. It's called a conversation. I'd like to meet these people in real life who, when they're talking to people, they just, you talk, I talk, you talk. If you want to listen to something boring like that, have fun. Like, just go off and do your thing. I don't care. That's what he said. Thank you, Brandon. There was no explanation in that interview. Yeah, I did the interview, not you. I know I did the interview. And that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you right now. I know what was said in the interview. I didn't say he didn't seem reasonable, and I am not See, and now we're moving the goalpost. Jeff, I'll be honest, Jeff. Me and you probably would get along on some things. I think he was reasonable as well. I posted a 45-minute interview of the guy. I had no problem with them. I started this video off saying I have no problem with HGA. But then you and other people make this claim. He explained it already. It was never explained. His comment today on my post, and he doesn't have to. I don't care if he... No, that's not my job to ask him again, Jeff. I'm not a spokesman for the company. Why would I ask him again? I don't care. You as a company make this is how you know I'm getting upset, my accent's going. You as a company make a claim, and then you want other people to back. It's not my job to break it up, bro. I don't care. I don't need it broken down. I don't need it explained. I don't think he was hiding, Jeff. I said you made a comment. I responded immediately. I didn't hear back. I hate that. I hate when people don't just have a conversation. No, I have no problem with Jeff. I'm not trying to gang up on Jeff. But see, we're starting to have a conversation now, and all of a sudden there are holes in the argument. The original statement was, and then I'll move on, because I'm not here to bash Jeff. And thank you for listening. I appreciate it. You make a comment that he already answered this, and I spoke over him. That was the exact statement, right? And by the way, Jeff, this chat is super delayed. Facebook has like a 9-second delay. So let me just get through this whole thing and then respond, because I don't want to... Otherwise, I'm going to be responding to your comments, and it's just the timing is off. It's not you. It's not me. It's just how it is. You make a statement. He already answered this in the interview. Already answered, specifically explaining AI. If you listen to that interview, it was never explained. Ever. It still has not been explained. Look at comments today. And it's not just HGA. PSA doesn't explain it either. They drop these little hints about technology, but then they don't ever actually back it up with proof of what they're doing or with a clear explanation. So, Jeff, it was never explained by anybody, and that's okay. My whole point is this. If you're not going to explain something, then don't tout it as you're using something. That's where I'm out on. That is my whole issue with these claims. Hey, we use this thing. I can't explain it. Nobody can really explain it. It's kind of this. It's interpreted differently by people. It's too hard to explain. But we're still going to claim we use it. That is the problem I have with every single grading company, HGA and PSA specifically. They have both made the claim. That's the problem I have. The overall point when it comes to grading, though, the reason I don't invest much more time in it, it's a useless argument. So, Jeff, so that's a fair, and this is what I thought, Jeff. See, again, here we go. I'm a fan of guys like Jeff. You're on my good list now. I like Jeff. Jeff is a guy, Jeff just made a great point. I knew this would happen. Once me and Jeff started speaking, have a dialogue, I think he's going to see exactly my point here. I want explained exactly this cutting-edge technology where you're using AI. That is, if this is the process that's being touted as what we're doing, that's what I would like clearly explained. And no one does that, Jeff. So don't tell me you're using this cutting-edge stuff and it's great and this and that, and then it's not fully explained. Again, this is not specific to HGA, because PSA has done the same thing. SGC's made some claims, but SGC is so worthless with their remarks about anything, it's hard to take anything. So that is my whole point. If you're going to, throw around technology, and I also feel, like I started this video, I feel like someone like me should be able to understand it. I don't think, I'm not the smartest person. I don't think everybody in this hobby is like some technological genius, but if someone like me can't understand it, I wonder how many people actually do. Plenty of you guys are super smart. Jesse understands this way better than I do. That's his world. Some of you guys, Brandon, I know, is a super smart dude. Brandon probably understands this way better than me. I have trouble when the normal person has zero concept of what you're talking about, but you're still using that as an advertising tool. Again, for every grading company. But the bigger point here, and then I got to go walk my dogs because they're clawing at the door. I'm not investing in anything. No, I got plenty of investments. People have asked me that too, if I was serious about starting a grading company. I was a little bit serious. Here's another major issue when it comes, and Josh Cohen brought this up because Cohen's a smart dude. Yeah, Ken, that's the overall point. Arguing over it's not going to change anybody's mind, right? So there are some serious questions I do have for any of the grading companies. What technology are you using specifically? A lot of mythical creatures. What technology specifically do you use to identify a card, not to grade it, but to identify the card as authentic? That, to me, is a major question mark I have for every company. I've seen how PSA does it. They have their database. But for every other company, PSA and Beckett are very established there. I do often wonder there, how are you establishing that this card, even new cards, like a new Prism card, how do I know it hasn't been trimmed? Grading is all a scam until a card will get the same grade no matter. Yeah, Louis, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a scam. I don't understand the scam logic, but, and it's also just indicative that companies use different things. I don't think that's necessarily true. Hang on. When PSA comes back at such a premium, and I say this as someone who has 0 PSA cards and really wants to. So, Dino, I agree. Again, that's why I feel like PSA, to me, they are still the top of the mountain and no one's close. They're grading more. They're putting out more cards. The selling premium is so... why are we grading cards? 99% of us are grading cards so that we can sell them for a higher amount. Yeah, there's a couple people who are grading them to keep them safe for their personal collection. I do that for a fraction of my cards. But in general, I want to grade my cards so I can sell it easier. That's the whole reason. And so I just don't get... based on that point alone, which is a huge point, I can't get away from PSA really too much. I've often said, if you want to get into the SGC, CSG, HGA game right now, for like the lower end cards, like a $20 card could become a $70 card with those guys grading it. Okay, that's a numbers game then, if it makes sense, if you can do it, if you can turn it enough, I have no problem with that. But that is why I don't spend more time talking about grading. When there's news, I'll talk about it, but, what is anybody going to say? If you're a staunch PSA guy, what is anybody going to say that's going to change you from being a PSA guy? Now, SGC I won't use strictly out of principle. You come out the day after PSA shuts down and you come and say, hey, we're tripling our rates. SGC lost me there. So that's nothing, not a knock on their company. I think they're a good company. But on that point alone, I'm out. I can't. That is such a horrible look to me. I'm just out. Now, other people say it doesn't matter. I'm still going to use SGC. You know what I say? Fine. I don't care. I'm no authority anywhere, honestly. So a lot of these guys try to act like they are the authority in sports cards. You know, the one thing I've come to realize in the last 10 years in this business, there is no authority. There is none. I mean, PSA as the grading authority is probably the only constant. It's not going to make it faster either. Mitchell, that's a good question. No. This technology will not make it faster because this helps with identification and different things. It does not help with the Q&A side of things, which is where they've come out publicly and said that's where we're struggling. So, you know, I don't think it increases their volume of card production on the grading side. Does it improve the process? Absolutely, and I'm all for that. I don't think it starts pumping cards out faster. But that's why I have a real problem with, you know, people who, I just think if you're doing your thing and you're happy with what you're doing, just do it. I don't, you know, even on the podcast, we try to provide some guidance and some talking points, but at no point do I think, hey, this is the only way to go. If you told me if there's a million guys right now, speeding up the change of the, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it might help there. I think camera technology specifically is really going to help that. If card companies would QR code the card in the future, just hold a space in the back of the card. Yeah, can, probably true. Yep. But that's why, like I said, and Jose, that's another big question I have for other grading companies. I know PSA's process to a degree because I've spoken with them. I don't know how other companies go about grading vintage or even 20-year-old cards as authentic. I'm just curious how they do that. What's the technology look like? And you know what? If they don't ever want to answer that question, that's fine. They don't have to. But I'm just getting sick of subtle hints made by people. And then when you ask for information, hey, you hinted about this. Well, what's the actual explanation? There isn't one. That's where I'm out. That's when I'm done. I don't care anymore. But yeah, as far as, the point I meant to say though, as far as content, if we do any more of this smaller stuff, sure. You know, we'll throw that up on the YouTube channel. But when it comes to the actual podcast, I just don't think there's that many people in this space who are all that interested in, like, hey, a deep dive on grading. You know, there are plenty of other boring podcasts that do that. They will spend an entire show talking about the ins and outs of SGC. No problem. It's not for me. I don't find it entertaining. I don't find it, you know, I just don't find it interesting. And if I don't find it interesting, I'm not going to talk about it. But that's also why we're trying to build up our private YouTube page. So when we go to the Dells show up in Wisconsin, it's May 14, 15, and 16. We're going to do a live podcast there on Friday, I believe. I still got to have an actual concrete conversation with the promoters. But I think we're going to do a live podcast, but a lot of it's just going to be Jesse. I kind of am going to steal some of what that guy Sasha does. He walks around and kind of highlights his deals. I would kind of like to tie some of that in, just kind of document the trip. I think that's an interesting angle. Not for the podcast, just for our own side content. Don't answer if you don't want to. I don't want to start anything. I was just curious. Was there... let me see. Yeah, I have no issues with anybody. Joe, I just... Yeah, people have come and gone. Advertisers. I mean, if you've noticed, we've gone through a number of different advertisers on the page. Not because there's any issues. People have come and gone on the advertising side, which makes sense. I don't blame certain people coming and going. No problem. I wouldn't be surprised if that was PSA's play with the software. You can get a review grade with a subscription. See, Brandon, that's another thing I think is interesting. If you had software you could download on your own, based on your own phone's camera technology, as it is, and just download an app, and it could tell you, hey, this is a PSA 8, this is a PSA 9. How many guys would not send anything in, though? So it would be a small revenue stream, like if you had to pay $2 a month to do it. But can you imagine if you went through 100 cards at your house on your own, and 65 of them were going to PSA 8, you just wouldn't send them in. I think that would be huge to help the backlog. I mean, if I know stuff isn't going to gem, yeah, I can say that based on the naked eye, but if I had technology that gave me a way better idea, that's a game changer, Brandon. I think that would be massive for them. You know, hey, review your own cards and then don't send it in. Not to mention how much money that saves you. If I'm not sending 20 cards because of that, yeah, a tiered subscription by the amount of absolutely. Hey, you can do unlimited cards for $19.99 a month, whatever it is, based on this camera on technology. That would be huge. If I measure from the top of my head, I would be, let's see, 5'8". My hair's pretty strong today. Yeah, Matt's a review guy for walk-off submissions. Yeah, they're an advertiser. Walk-off submissions, Nick Piper runs that group. Yeah, they have. And Matt's not to take away from what you guys do, but if people could do that on their own, I mean, trust me, I want you guys to keep building the walk-off brand. It's good for me. You keep advertising, and I get money off it too. It's awesome. But if you're telling me I could just download an app on my phone and just scan over a card, I mean, that's just... Yeah, Brian, that's what I think. You could charge $50 a month if it's gonna. Strong is an understatement. The hair game is real strong. God, I wish I could turn my phone right now and show you all these influencing people in my neighborhood. It's so funny because it's a brand new neighborhood. They all just come out here dressed like idiots and take pictures. Yeah, see, okay, Jeff, and there's another good example. Chris Kelsey is a good friend of mine. He doesn't advertise with the show right now. I have no issue with. I mean, I'm going to Chris's shop probably. I might go today actually, today or tomorrow. I have no issue with Chris. Great guy. Just, advertising, come and go. You notice PC hasn't advertised on the grading side because they're not grading right now. People come and go. They're still doing graded consignments. Matt Seller is still doing raw consignment. We got Grand Slam, Nate Burns over at Grand Slam Nation, which is the most savage card shop in the country online, and I will never, until I'm proved otherwise. Geo Breaks, Eddie's in the chat right now. I still break over Geo Break. So we still have guys, but as they come and go, we just kind of move people in and out. But if you could actually come up with technology where I use my own phone and camera, that's just, that's just a game changer. Yeah, Eric, same thing. Yeah, and you know what? Some people complain about that. Man, it's $3 a card to review. It's like $25 with shipping to send a card in to have it come back in 8. I'd rather spend $3 and know it's not going to come back in 8, or know most likely it's not going to come back a low grade. So I'm all for a service that does that. I mean, that's just me. Some guys can do it themselves, no problem. I don't. I'm not going to sit there and review 1,000 cards. So, Brandon, it'd be interesting if that's what they're planning. What's funny is, hey, thank you, Dino. What's funny is there were other people who had reached out to me and Jesse months ago about moving forward with some technology like that, but then it just didn't take off really. So, the tech, man, the competitiveness on the tech side of things is getting strong. Another thing, too, we need to address, this will be the last thing. People did reach out about check out my cards. The purpose of the show wasn't to blast them, but, man, I would say we got at least 100 messages that just the process is so bad, they're so backed up. That's another thing, though. To me, that's not a podcast issue. We mentioned it quickly on the podcast because we just had the StarStock guys on. But that's something I'd just address here on a Facebook Live, or on the YouTube channel. I'm not gonna, some of these companies, hey, you made this statement, if you want to get the real thing, we'll come on the podcast. And that's just not just check on my card. It's for a lot of the companies. I'm not here as a, Lupe. I'll be honest with the Lupe thing. I'm on there. I try to sign up for all the new apps as they come out. What now is a little different. It has a live marketplace and the breaking feature. Lupe, to me, is just a bunch of hack breakers all in the same place. And maybe that's all I've experienced there. I've been on it only a few times. I don't know, and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to break. I'm just going to Geo Breaks because me and Eddie have a community there. Nowadays you can break anywhere you want to anyways. I feel like a breaker has to offer something more, which is the community. And I'm out on the Lupe thing. But the what now, that live auction, live marketplace is interesting. I do think what now is kind of an interesting thing. Lupe's not for me. The other app I've been pushing, and I'm going to actually get on there and start the thing today. So if you haven't done it yet, it's only for Apple users. It's called Locker Room. I was going to do the Clubhouse thing. I didn't realize till somebody brought it to my attention. Then Simmons called me. I know a few guys that run Lupe, good guys, but they need a better... And Dave, that's my point. I don't know them personally, so I'm not bashing the people. The setup is... I'm not a fan of the setup. I think Dave, I've dealt with Dave for years. I think Dave would probably agree. It just kind of looks like, hey, it's thrown together, a bunch of breakers in a closet breaking. I'm not big Yeah, and if they build it, to be honest, the smartest thing they could do, if I were them, I would bring in breakers with a big reputation. But it's tough to do that now. If you don't have allocation, why would a breaker come over? Who knows? If that takes off or not, I have no clue. The product right now, again, taking the people out of it because I don't know them, I'm not a big fan of the product. But again, so what? Probably a million people are. But just to address the thing yesterday about Clubhouse, so I'm going on Locker Room because Locker Room is the same as Clubhouse, but it's just sports, and it's also owned by Spotify, Spotify is who employs me and Jesse. We work for Simmons on the content side, but when it comes to the actual ad and revenue and everything money related, that's all Spotify. I didn't realize Spotify had bought Locker Room, so we will be starting a Locker Room. You can just download the app, Apple users only. My name is just Mike Giuseppe on there. We're going to start a room. I'm not going to be live all the time, but I'll do some of these lives over there. And what's cool is you can invite people up to speak. That's what's cool about it. It's just an open forum. As opposed to this where you just listen to me. Yeah, Matt, it's 39 degrees here, dude. It's a joke. Here, it's just me sitting in a car like a moron, looking at me and admiring my hair. But nobody else can talk. On Locker Room, everybody else can speak. So, I'll post a time and a date. I'll go live there this afternoon just to go live. The app is just a red window with a white sock on it. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, download it and you'll see when the room goes live. I'll try to share it so we can get in there. I just think it'd be a cool thing because then I can actually hear from some of you guys too. So if nothing else, it'll be a great platform to argue on. We can go back and forth, which I would love. So there you go. I've been live way too long. My dogs have probably crapped all over the floor. Dog park update coming later today. See you, boys.